I had a prospect reach out to us. They're in the HR consulting space, which is as much as I'll say without giving away their identity. And they were looking for Google Ads. They wanted us to drive leads, and that's what they kept saying. The key performance indicator. We need more leads. We have to get more leads. Our sales team doesn't have enough leads. And I'm like, cool, we can do that. Let's talk. And so I did my normal intake, and through the process of my normal intake, I asked them, if I put you on the phone with 10 qualified prospects, how many would you close? Which is a question I ask everybody. And the answer was 0.5. 0.5. And they knew that because the gentleman I was on the phone with was the director of their sales department, and he said we close 1 in 20 of the leads that land on our desk. And then I said, well, you don't have a lead problem, you have a sales problem. And not to bat your business away, but you don't want to pour water into a leaky bucket. Like you're solving for the wrong variable here. If those prospects weren't qualified, that would be maybe a different story and a different discussion. But if they're qualified or semi-qualified and you're only closing 1 out of 20, I just don't see how that, honestly, in any business, could end up being a viable model. And these folks are actually doing a really good job with lead generation in my mind, because they're still profitable at this crazy burn rate. They monetize pretty well in the back end. They've got a solid ascension. And then other products that they can sell people, but they are just churning and burning leads. And I think that what ended up happening is their sales team probably got a little lazy, used to, the low-hanging fruit. Either you buy or you don't, and we moved on. And they're not playing, the games that people should be playing: value first, ongoing follow-up, empathic consultative sales. So the point that I made to that person was something that struck me as a video that I needed to make, which is, in the hierarchy of needs for your business, interestingly, traffic comes last. And that's a weird thing to hear from a guy who makes his living selling traffic. I realize that I'm the traffic guy, and so I should be telling you that traffic comes first, but it's just not the case. Now, can you run ads to like test an offer or test a market or prove viability? Yeah, you absolutely can. But that's not really traffic. At that point, like traffic in my mind is when you're trying to drive as many people as you can. You're trying to drive people at scale, in mass. That's anyway, in the weird lexicon that I've decided to create, that's traffic. And so if you're running ads for proof of concept or a viability study, that's perfectly fine. But that's the expectation that I would manage with you then. Hey, we're not really driving traffic here. We're just trying to prove your model. But otherwise, if you have a sales problem, fix your sales problem. If you have a fulfillment problem, fix your fulfillment problem. I've run into that too, to where people bring us on and saying, we need more leads, and one company comes to mind in particular, actually, who's still inside of our fold, incidentally, but hopefully they never watch this video. If they do, I'm sorry to use as an example. I love you. They have a fulfillment problem to where we'll drive leads, and they can take 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then right around the 5th or 6th lead of every month, they start to say like, okay, well, we can't take you for 2, 3, 4 weeks. We're kind of getting backlogged, and then those leads kind of start to dissipate and go away, and because they don't want to wait. And some of them might, they have a solid backlog, and what a great problem for this company to have, by the way. I mean, they're great at what they do. They've got a solid reputation, a great offer, and so they fill up really quickly. But what's funny is they end up on this kind of it's the square wheel where you're constantly sort of pushing it, and then it'll fall over real quick, and then you have to go push it again. And they'll end up in a situation where they'll, call me up and say, hey, we actually, all of our prospects dried up and we don't have any leads looking forward. And so they have more leads than they can handle, or they don't have enough and they need to fill the pipeline. And because they're more or less, a labor industry, I mean, it's, high-end professional services, but they're brokering hours is what they're doing. And so my comment to that gentleman, and this is something that he's already working on and he knows, is he has a fulfillment problem he needs to go fix. And, that can be done in a myriad of ways. It's not necessarily just hiring full-time resources, although that's an option. You can hire part-timers and interns and kind of give them the grunt work to help your core resources flux if and when they need to flux. You can have a third-party fulfillment house, so like white label a solution so that when you're bringing customers in, maybe you white label the onboarding or the first 90 days just to make sure that somebody's getting off to the races, but you're reserving your primary resources for the core projects. Whatever it ends up being, the point is they don't have a marketing problem. They don't have a lead generation problem. They don't have a traffic problem. They have a fulfillment problem. So far too often, business owners look at what's going on and think to themselves, they look at the bottom line. They're like, I don't have enough money. more customers equals more money. I'm going to go get more customers, go drive traffic. And from the traffic guy, right, from the guy who stands to benefit the most from, everybody who thinks they need to drive traffic, it's not always traffic that's your problem. Sometimes you have more than enough traffic. Another really good example is I've encountered, and this happens a lot, especially for, long tenured businesses. I encounter businesses that have a significant amount of traffic going to their website organically, significant amount of traffic, but they're not getting any leads. So they want to go run paid traffic. And, oftentimes I'm like, well, let's focus on your site. Like, why aren't these people converting? Where's the CRO opportunity? The CRO is conversion rate optimization. Where's the CRO opportunity that would, even if you had a 1% improvement in your conversion, that's really significant. If you have thousands of people coming to your site on a regular basis. And so, maybe you don't have a traffic problem at all. Maybe you have a conversion problem. And think about that for a minute. You have, thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in some instances of people coming to your site, and not enough of them are converting. And so our answer is to drive more people to the site. Now, it is true that paid traffic tends to be closer to the bottom of the funnel. They're higher commercial intent. So, good on you there. I don't disagree. But it still means that they're going to convert at less of a rate than they would if you had a higher converting website. And don't think that landing pages fix that, by the way. That's a bold-faced lie that marketers tell just to make their jobs easier on the outset. Statistically, it takes 2.5 sessions and 3.5 pages for somebody to convert. And the majority of people now are skipping your squeeze page unless it's like a very, very simple opt-in or, one of those knee-jerk reaction purchases, impulse buy type things. People want to see you, mission, vision, values, long-form content. So if your site isn't converting, then it stands to reason that your paid traffic isn't going to convert, or at least not as well as it should. So solve the problem that you're facing now and make sure that you identify that problem properly. And that's why traffic comes last, because you need, the other thing to think about is just from a viability perspective of your product. The company that I'm talking to that closes 1 in 20 deals, one of the questions I asked them was, are you charging too much? Like, why wouldn't more people buy from you? If it's the right prospect looking for what you have to offer and you're good at fulfillment, and it sounds like there are, the reputation's pretty solid. Like, what's the objection? What's the hurdle? Now, their answer was, I think, and I appreciated him being as honest as he was, it's a longer sales cycle and his sales team doesn't do a very good job following up. So for him, I think what he needs is he needs a follow-up system, automation of some sort, which is easy and way cheaper than hiring me. But I mean, you might find out that, I'm charging too much, or I'm not charging enough, which I have found in my own business way back in the day when I was still doing software dev. As a young man, I tried to compete on price far too often. And what I found, especially for the more reputable, as I started to move on upstream, I got a pretty solid reputation, and I was getting referred out to people. And as I moved upstream, I found that I was losing projects because I came in too low. And I had a gentleman, he was the CTO of a bank that I worked with. His name was, well, maybe I shouldn't say his name. He was very kind to me, and I ended up running into him at a pub crawl, actually, and he pulled me aside and said, hey, loved your presentation, loved your proposal, your response to our RFP was great. Your price was too low. We didn't believe that you could accomplish what it was that we needed accomplished in that price point. We thought that you undershot yourself. And so you can do that from a sales perspective too. Maybe you're not charging enough. But fix the problem that needs to be fixed before you go drive traffic, because traffic is expensive and all it will do is amplify the problems. There's this great quote from Bill Gates. He says that scale applied to an inefficient system will just amplify the inefficiencies. Well, sending traffic to a leaky funnel is just going to amplify your leaks. It's not going to fix them. If anything, it might make them worse. For my client with the fulfillment problems, it does. Every time, it's always like, turn it up, turn it down, turn it up, turn it down. And it's like, dude, we can't keep doing this. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting the algorithm. You're hurting the way that Google perceives you and our ability to manage these campaigns. And so fix the problem at hand and realize that generally speaking, traffic comes last. Traffic comes after you've proven your model, proven your concept, proven your pricing, proven your intake, proven your sales capabilities, proven your fulfillment, proven your distribution, proven your customer service, your follow-up. Traffic comes after all that stuff is proven. and then you want to scale and you want to blow it up. Now you can use, Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever you want. You can use them for viability studies and proof of concept and, for the initial stages. So I'm not telling you to hold off on everything entirely. I'm just saying, before you go start pouring gasoline on the fire, make sure that the fire is where you want it to be and that the right things are burning. Because you can go pour gasoline on a fire that burns your business down. And I've probably stretched this analogy too much, but I hope this lands well, and I hope it's of value to you. Really appreciate all the new subscribers, the comments, all that good stuff. Y'all are awesome. And I will see you in the next video.